Hello everyone, today on the Hadron Collider physics series we're going to talk about my homeboy, your homeboy, Albert Einstein. Hello everyone, as discussed in the intro, today we're going to talk about the incredible, the amazing, the bloke with the crazy grey hair that used to stick out his tongue that, was responsible for revolutionizing physics as we know it, Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein was an incredible genius, but if we're going to rewind a little bit and think about and take a look at his life, he didn't speak till he was like 4. So if you've got any little brothers or sisters who've just had kids and they can't speak, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I definitely think you should get that checked out and not rely on me for your childhood medical advice, but understand that people mature at different ages and come into their own. And if Einstein couldn't talk till 4, and this dude was crazy brained, I think it's going to be okay. So never judge a book by its cover. And in his early years, he was considered a failure. In fact, he dropped out of school, got a job as a patents clerk in Switzerland, which is a pretty kicking job, if you know what I mean. It's not very taxing. And while he was doing that, and apparently a bit of a failure, and his father died unfortunately while he was a patents clerk and saw him as a failure, in 1905 he came up with 4 of the most revolutionary ideas in physics ever. And in 1921 he finally got the Nobel Prize for I think it was the photoelectric effect, but it could have been for relativity. The guy should have got multiple Nobel Prizes because the guy is really special, and he's a pop icon now because he was a great soul. And I want to go through a number of Einstein's personal mottos and quotes that he said throughout his life that from a scientific perspective sort of transcended into the spiritual realm, because the guy was smart, and super smart people sometimes can understand not only physics a little bit better, but maybe the nature of reality a little bit better. So the number 1 quote I want to go through with Einstein is, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution." Now, this is the same bloke that daydreamed in the patents clerk about if he was a photon of light traveling at a clock, what would it look like? Or if he was standing by a train station and the train was traveling at the speed of light, how would that affect relativity? He understood imagination was the gateway to understanding the world. He didn't always sit there and just write out maths, he thought and imagined. So great quote. The other quote that Einstein said was that great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre minds are incapable of understanding the man who refuses to bow blindly to conventional prejudices and chooses instead to express his opinions courageously and honestly. Wow. That's why when you've got some of these pig-headed politicians and these warmongering blokes around the world sending, cruise missiles into, schools, and those same, people from those countries blowing themselves up, just because the voices that are calling for peace aren't being heard now, doesn't mean they won't be heard. They've always encountered resistance. Gandhi encountered resistance. Martin Luther King encountered resistance. Bobby Kennedy, Jesus, everyone who was a great mind encountered resistance. So if you're encountering resistance, follow your heart, because it's always going to happen. Eventually you'll come through. The third quote is, "Human knowledge and skills alone cannot lead humanity to happy and dignified life. Humanity has every reason to place the proclaimers of high moral standards and values above the discoverers of objective truth." What Einstein was trying to say here was, let's make a world where everything's awesome. It doesn't have to be right, it doesn't have to be perfect, but let's focus on what makes people happy. And this is coming from a guy who worked in hard maths, the hard sciences. And I think that's an amazing understanding. The 4th quote, "Few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are not even capable of forming such opinions." Another great insight. Your environment will generally control your beliefs. That's why it's important to change your environment. Hatred is generally manifested through environment. And you really need to change the environment to change people's beliefs. Quote number 5, "I, at any rate, am convinced that he, God, does not throw dice." Einstein had a fundamental belief, and him and Niels Bohr used to get into a bit of bother about this. And I think that actual quote, I think, was directed at Niels Bohr. And he believed that the universe was understandable. The universe was written to laws that he could understand because he was a smart dude. He didn't believe that God threw dice, whereas Niels Bohr thought everything was uncertain, the nature of reality was uncertain. Einstein may have, well, we don't know, do we? But he fundamentally believed that God did not throw dice, and I have a different belief about that. But I think it's a really good quote and helps us understand Einstein better. Number 6, the important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Now that's incredible, and I think it was Charles Darwin was attacked for talking about evolution by the people who believed in other forms of the world coming into existence, and he actually said, he questioned himself once. He goes, yeah, like if I'm evolved from a monkey, is this just a monkey's brain trying to make sense of the world that it's living in? And I mean, I think Darwin was right, but it's great to question things, always question things, and reasoning is fantastic and it drives us forward. We can never stop questioning. Number 7, science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. So Albert Einstein understood that science didn't have all the answers and religion was still important. Number 8, 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. Now that's funny, that's really funny. I'm going to say that again. 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. I think that, especially living in the time he did where, the Nazis were rocking around Europe, not doing nice things, I think that that's a great statement for us to understand that as humans we can be silly. Number 9, falling in love is not at all the most stupid thing people do, but gravitation cannot be held responsible for it. So I don't know what he's trying to say there, but it might help you understand Einstein and how he felt about love. Number 10, the most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious, is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Word. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Number 12, try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. Now this is a dude who had all the awards, he had cash money, he was kicking it like he had a lake house with a little boat and stuff, but he knew that the moral value that he had far exceeded his mental wealth. Number 13, the secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. I love that. The secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. Some bloke once said there's no new ideas under the sun. I think that was Plato. We all have we all tap into a collective unconsciousness. You don't own your ideas. They belong to the universe. They're the manifestation of all that could become. And I think it's important to know that. And I think that's quite funny. And I think Einstein had a bit of a sense of humour. Number 14, the difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has limits. Once again on the stupidity thing. 15, weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. 16, pure mathematics is, in its way, the poetry of logical ideas. That's really beautiful. Number 17, nature shows us only the tail of the line, but I do not doubt that the line belongs to it, though I cannot once reveal itself because of its enormous size. So I think he's talking about looking at things and trying to understand the bigger picture. You can see the tail of the line and know there's a line there without having to see the line, because you can make logical conclusions, which is a big thing about, especially theoretical science. They have to sometimes make guesses, which are based on probability. 18, once a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. Agreed. 19, it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Bang, perseverance. Homie, boy, Einstein, I'm not that smart. Come on, buddy. Anyway, I get what you're trying to say. It's just that I stay with problems longer. Perseverance, what do I say? I think I talk about perseverance, but I will now. Perseverance. Number 20, my religion consists of a humble admiration of the illimitable superior spirit who reveals itself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble mind. I think my feeble mind was finding it hard to say that, but yeah, that's his religion. Cool stuff going on, wow. And I agree. 21, people cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Yeah, we would never have a war if we stuck to that. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Stay He's in the present. He's like a Zen Buddhist. Number 23, do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you that mine are greater. Very good. 24, in order to form an immaculate membership of a flock of sheep, one must above all be a sheep. Go your own path. 25, the most incomprehensible thing about the world is comprehensible. 26, reality, this is my favorite, I think I should make a t-shirt out of this. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. We get into that into quantum mechanics all the time. 27, truth is what stands the test of experience. That's deep. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. 29, insanity, doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. I thought that was misquoted Tim, but I'm telling you now that is quoted Tim, so therefore I correct myself and the rest of the world. Number 30, common sense is nothing more than a deposit of prejudices laid down in the mind before you reach 18. So belief systems being installed into you, even Einstein knew that. So 30 great quotes from a guy that I really respect. I wore this suit to give you a very serious message. That message is that I have an Instagram account now with thousands of followers. I would love you to join. So check me out at 1 Year Life Challenge on Instagram. I'd love to see you there. Heaps of photos of me topless or in a suit, and I'm happy to listen to your demands. Thank you, and check me out on Instagram.